God Osiris was popularly known as the god of death, and some sources claim archaeologists have discovered the tomb of the Egyptian god Osiris. So, is this discovery true? What does the tomb contain? Let's find out. Hello and welcome back to the Abandoned Archaeologist again, the channel to learn all about ancient archaeological findings. Today we'll discuss the discovery of the tomb of the Egyptian god Osiris beside the River Nile. But before we begin, to get your attention, we have a question you can answer at the end of the video by watching it. Osiris was the god of? So write down your answer in the comment section and see if you got it right. Here we begin. Every culture has its own set of legends and myths. For example, most of us have heard of King Arthur, the greatest king in British legend, and his queen Guinevere. Similarly, the mythology surrounding Osiris is one of Egypt's most well-known stories. Osiris, the ancient Egyptian god of the dead and ruler of the underworld, is the ruler of the underworld. The myths surrounding this figure are complex and varied, as in many religions. For example, he was the god of immortality. He was thought to judge the dead, only allowing the morally worthy into his afterlife. He was a god of regeneration and rebirth, and he held various other roles that varied depending on the cult. But no matter how he was perceived, he was widely regarded as one of the more powerful gods. Archaeologists have discovered an ancient tomb that appears to be modeled after the mythical tomb of Osiris. A Spanish-Italian archaeological team made this discovery in collaboration with the Egyptian Ministry of Antiquities. Archaeologists working on the Theban necropolis, a vast conglomerate of ancient tombs and mortuary temples that face the ancient Egyptian city of Thebes or modern Luxor, have discovered an ancient tomb on the west bank of the Nile modeled after the mythical tomb of Osiris. The tomb was discovered in Abydos, one of Egypt's oldest cities, in the Sheikh Abd el-Korna necropolis, which has the highest concentration of private tombs in the Theban necropolis complex. During the New Kingdom of Egypt, which lasted from the 16th to the 11th centuries BC and was ruled by the 18th, 19th, and 20th dynasties of Egypt, all of the highest-ranking officials, priests, and nobility were buried here. Philippe Viret discovered a portion of the tomb in 1887, but it was never described or published. So this year, a team of Spanish and Italian archaeologists, led by Mara Milagros Ivares Sosa of the Mint Project, will excavate its many chambers and shafts. According to what they've discovered thus far, the tomb was modeled after descriptions of the massive tomb of Osiris, an important component of ancient Egyptian legend. According to April Holloway at Ancient Origins, the archaeologists believe the tomb dates back to either the 25th dynasty of Egypt from 760 to 656 BC or the 26th dynasty from 672 to 525 BC, based on a comparison to similar tombs that contain Osirian elements. The most famous example is Osiris' tomb, the Osirian, which was built into Seti I's funeral complex. Who was Osiris? Osiris, also known as Usir, was a major god in ancient Egypt. Osiris' origins are unknown. He was a local god of Osiris in Lower Egypt and may have represented the chthonic or underworld fertility. However, by around 2400 BCE, Osiris played a dual role. He was both a fertility god and the embodiment of the dead and resurrected king. This dual role was then combined with the Egyptian concept of divine kingship. The dead king's son, the living king, was identified with Horus, a god of the sky. Thus, Osiris and Horus were father and son. The goddess Isis was the king's mother, making her Horus's mother and Osiris' consort. The god Seth was regarded as Osiris' murderer and Horus' adversary. According to Plutarch, the Greek author, Osiris was slain or drowned by Seth, who tore the corpse into 14 pieces and flung them over Egypt. Isis and her sister Nephthys eventually found and buried all of the pieces except the phallus, resurrecting Osiris, who now ruled and judged the underworld. His son Horus defeated Seth, avenging Osiris and becoming the new king of Egypt. Osiris was not only the ruler of the dead, but also the power that gave all life from the underworld to the annual flood of the Nile River. From around 2000 BC onwards, it was believed that every man, not just the deceased kings, became associated with Osiris after death. However, identification with Osiris did not imply resurrection because even Osiris did not rise from the dead. Instead, it represented the renewal of life in the next world as well as through one's descendants on Earth. Osiris's cult spread throughout Egypt in this universalized form, frequently combining with the cults of local fertility and underworld deities. Certain cult forms maintain that following Osiris could lead to rebirth in the next life. The gods' festivals in the Middle Kingdom, 1938 C. 1630 BCE, consisted of processions and nocturnal rites. They were held at the Temple of Abydos, where Osiris had assimilated the very ancient god of the dead, Khenti Ementio. This name, first of the Westerners, was given to Osiris as an epithet. Because the festivals were held in public participation was allowed. By the early 2nd millennium BCE, it had become fashionable to be buried along the processional road of Abydos or erect a cenotaph as a representative of the dead. Osiris festivals were held annually in various towns throughout Egypt, symbolically reenacting the god's fate. The construction of the Osiris garden, a mold in the shape of Osiris filled with soil, was a central feature of the late period festivals. The mold was moistened by Nile water and seeded with grain. Later, the sprouting grain represented Osiris' vital strength. At Memphis, the holy bull Apis was united with Osiris, giving rise to the name Osiris Apis, which later became the name of the Hellenistic god Serapis. Osiris was associated with the god of Dionysus by Greco-Roman authors. Suker, an ancient Memphis god of the dead, was also identified with Osiris. The earliest known depiction of Osiris dates to around 2300 BCE, but depictions of him are scarce before the New Kingdom from 1539 to 1075 BCE, when he was depicted as an arc-hazing mummy with his arms crossed on his breast, one hand holding a crook, the other a flail. The Anaf crown made of the white crown of Upper Egypt and 2 ostrich feathers was placed on his head. How will the discovery help us? The symbolism of Osiris is very clear here, as all of the elements recalling the mythical Osiris tomb are present, writes the Luxor Times Magazine blog. A big 3.5-meter-long staircase with a 4-meter-high ceiling at the bottom leading to the netherworld and another one leading directly to the Osiris statue, which is thus at a higher level and ideally isolated on its island. The Osiris statue itself, the empty corridor surrounding it symbolizing the water channel, the expected burial chamber below the statue, thus identifying the deceased with Osiris. Carved reliefs of demons holding knives can be found in the funerary room. According to Alvarez Sosa's Ancient Origins, they were there to protect the bodies of the dead in the afterlife. A separate team of archaeologists announced today the discovery of the tomb of a previously unknown Egyptian queen, now thought to be the wife of the pharaoh Neferefre, who ruled 4,500 years ago. According to an AFP report, this tomb was discovered in Abu Sur, an extensive necropolis built near the modern Egyptian capital of Cairo. Several pyramids dedicated to 5th dynasty pharaohs, including Neferefre, were located here. The Egyptian Antiquities Minister Mamdouh al-Damati told the press that the queen's name has been identified as Kentakois III, thanks to inscriptions on the walls of her tomb. Al-Damati said that for the first time, we have discovered the name of this queen who had been unknown before the discovery of her tomb. This discovery will help us shed light on certain unknown aspects of the 5th dynasty, which witnessed the construction of the first pyramids alongside the 4th dynasty, he added. What do you think of the discovery of Osiris's tomb? Comment below, and the answer to our question is ruler of the dead. Subscribe for more such videos.